Okay everyone, let's just set this up real quick and then we'll lay out the terms of what we were trying to do here. As soon as I can get the chat room up. Second screen. There we go. That should be everything. Okay. So the premise of what we were wanting to do here is we're going to demonstrate some of the new Track 2 features that you can do, not necessarily green screen, but just some very basic things. So I have this old project of Killzone. The idea that I went with this project, and this is really old, like maybe even 1.0, I'm not even positive anymore. But the idea is that I wanted to make the intro of Killzone feel like an old TV show, something like Star Trek, where you would have Last Time on Next Generation or previously on X-Men, stuff like that, you know. And so that's what I was trying to go for, and then go into a kind of a TV show intro. So what we want to do here is, I did some tricks to make this work before. I had to take the theme song that was in that one part when it did the city flyover and all that music, and I took that and ripped that into an MP3. Afterwards, I put that back into the project and used that as a background, so it would make the music underneath while I cut all the video on top of it. And so that's what the idea was. Then there's other times where I did the previously part where I had dialogue underneath all of the video that I wanted, and then I would have other scenes go over top of it. So you'd have a character talking dialogue, and then you'd have it cut to another background scene, so it would do kind of like a montage of old scenes. So that's the idea that I went with. So that's what we're going to try to come back to and reset in this. So what can you do with Track 2 to get this into a little bit different kind of setup? And so that's what our goal is. So I'll go ahead and show you the original here real quick, just so you know where we're going with this. And so the goal is to make this look almost as identical as it was before, but with much less of this music underneath, and I can use the Track 2 timeline over top of it to actually use less clips. Because the trick that I had to do, I had so many splits in this project that I had to export the song, the part where I did the actual TV show intro with all the credits and everything, and then I came back and had to export and add that back in. Well, we don't have to do that anymore. I can have this all in one project and probably still keep everything under the 50 clip limit with 10 clips and commentaries that I can still use. So here's what we're going to do. I'll let you see the original, and that's the goal of what to get this back as.
They call it the Terracide. A billion lives lost in the petricite fires that swept Helgen's surface. The survivors were to be given refuge on another world. Vecta.
Well done, Lucas. You're the youngest cadet ever to be admitted to the Shadow Marshal Academy. You should be proud. I know if your father was here, he'd feel the same way.
This is our home, too!
All our people want is to be kept safe. That means taking the fight to the Helghast. It means crossing the wall.
You have no idea how sickening this is to us. Forced to live here, alongside the people who destroyed our planet. This wall won't protect you forever, Shadow Marshal.
You're too important to this operation. God damn it, you're too important to me.
Who was she?
Codename's Echo. Chancellor Vasari took a keen interest in getting her back. Negotiations broke down days ago. The government's running with it, playing out options. We're on the brink, Lucas. One wrong move and this all blows up in our face. It was a recon mission across the wall. infiltrating military communications, troop movements, and logistics. We need hard evidence, then we can strike. I need you back in there. Contact me when you've located the crew and retrieved the intel. The Hellgas nowhere there, so at this point it's damage limitations. We can't leave any traces. I'm trusting you to clean this up. Do what you do best.
Okay, so that's the original, and obviously that is rather old because I didn't use the Killzone theme for this. So that's pretty obvious that this is pre 1.04. So we're going to go ahead, and I believe I have the original still in my gallery. As soon as we can get a clip to load up. Clips. SHAREfactory. So somewhere down here should be, yes, Killzone. So I have the original still, and I can use that as my reference. So we'll exit out of this project, and we'll start a brand new one. Killzone, Killzone. Don't need any of these except for that one. Okay. Okay. So add clips. What the clips? I'm pretty sure I have everything on here I still need. I am watching the chat, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to just drop me a line and then I'll elaborate on what I can. So Killzone. That's the boot. That's post Killzone 3. Training. Okay. Father. Actually, I can literally probably every one of these that I have some naming to. Level 1, level 2. Actually, I need one of these for the Wow, that's all the way to echo. So this. Wow, that's a lot. Tutorial 2. I don't think I need that. Wow. There's one I'll keep. Leveling. I did enemies better than I thought. Bot zone. Bot zone. Better Lucas intro. To reinstall. I don't think I need. Any of these later ones. We'll start there. That's enough. Okay. So split. So another little trick that you guys should know is that crossfades, and this is not new to this patch, this is actually previously from the last patch. Crossfades will automatically fade your video clip audio. So the one that you're leaving will fade out and the one that you're going into will fade in if you have any transition whatsoever. So that's a good thing to use if you have a crossfade or something along those lines that'll actually just fade it underneath. And that's one thing that I'll probably end up using. I'll hide the transition underneath a track 2 clip, and that way you won't see the fade, but you'll still hear it, and that'll be actually something that you want to use going in. So we can say add a transition with crossfade. Let's trim out the overflow again real quick. Actually, we need to go a little farther than this, I forgot.
They call it the...
There we go.
They call it the Terracide. A billion lives lost in the Petricite fires that swept Helgen's surface.
Okay, so here's our first example.
They call it the Terracide. A billion lives lost in the Petricite fires that swept Helgen's surface.
So we'll reduce this to 0 just to show this off pretty well. Clip. And now we go to add track 2. I don't really need the camera, do I? Either way.
The Terracide. A billion lives lost in the Petricite fires that swept Helgen's...
So we want to add the same clip. So we're looking for post Killzone 3, post Killzone 3. Trim this down to just the area we need. So go past that. Get it to where we don't have any fade. And we don't want to fade out either. Step, step, step. Step, step, step. Okay.
A lives.
So I reduced this clip's volume to 0 now, so that it's just silent over top of it. And you also always want to keep these as full screen in the times when you want to do these kinds of edits. So everything that's going to be in track 2 will be full screen, so it'll just appear as any other clip.
Parasite. A billion lives lost in the petricite fires that swept Helgen's surface.
So that's not quite long enough.
Fires that swept Helgen's surface.
Edit track 2. So can I make this any longer? Trim clips. We probably do want the fade out then.
A billion lives lost in the petricite fires that swept Helgen's surface. Swept.
So
A billion lives lost in the petricite fires that swept Helgen's surface.
So where do you drop out here?
A billion lives lost in the petricite fires that swept Helgen's surface.
So now we want to have this right about here.
Surface.
Edit track. No, I'll need to change this volume back up so I can hear.
It was reached. The survivor.
Split.
Survivors were to be given refuge on another world. Vecta.
So here's the thing, is I hate the timing of that video, because if I was doing it, and I did it in the other video, I want that fade in to be that overture. So that's what we're going to go for.
Helgen's surface. Survivors were to be given refuge. Swept Helgen's surface. Survivors were to be given.
That was off. So trim you back a bit.
The survivors were to be given refuge on another world.
Split. Let's add a transition here to get that audio smoothed out.
Helgen's surface. The survivors were to be given refuge on another world. Vecta.
Okay, so now back to track 2. Add clip. Still in post kill zone. Trim.
Settlement Vecta.
So let's reduce that so we don't have any overage. Now the trick here would be we need to move the fade. We need to move the fade right to where we want. So move clip now. This clip needs to be trimmed down a bit. Good bit. Actually, all the way to the black. There. Perfect. So now
The survivors.
move clip. Need to hear where the audio is.
The survivors were to be given refuge on another world.
So right about
World.
right there. You can back up a little bit. There we go. So PIP layout full screen.
The survivors were to be given refuge.
Let's fix that first. Trim clip, back you up just enough. Now you to here.
Surface. The truce was negotiated and
So which one of those has the volume? Ah, I see what happened there. The clip went too far back, and therefore it got the old audio.
negotiated and a settlement was reached.
So here's what we can do. We'll cut this down a little bit. Edit transition, delete that, so now I get snip back.
Settlement was reached. The survivor.
Okay. So move, or no, trim. Trim you back out. Let's snip a little bit of that ringing out.
The survivors were to be given refuge on another world.
Okay. So that's about right. Now let's fade that audio a little.
Helgen's surface. The survivors were to be given refuge on another world.
So now we edit track 2. We listen.
The survivors were to be given refuge on another world.
So right about at 23. Trim, can I trim this back any? Trim that out so it lasts a little longer. Move 23.
On another world. The survivors were to be given refuge on another world.
You know, I think I am making this too hard, actually. I'm overthinking how I did this last time. Move all the way.
Swept Helgen's surface. The survivors were to be given refuge on another world.
So this is trick, is how much do I trim this down? It looked at least 3 seconds.
The survivors were to be given refuge on another world.
That's almost there. It's a little early. Early? Trim.
On another world.
No, that was late. Still late.
On another world.
In case you guys don't know, I'm actually looking at the right-hand side of the screen. This way I can tell this is the track 2. Track 2 is always on the right. Your video timeline's on the left. So even though the border is over here on the left, that's actually just showing the PIP layout, so what will overlay it. So you don't get confused with that. That's exactly what's happening.
Elgin's surface. The survivors were to be given refuge on another world. Vecta, home of those
Okay. So now I need to snip this down.
Vecta.
Don't want home. Snip, split.
Home of
So let's mute this. Pretty sure this is still muted. Nope, it's not.
to be given refuge on another world. Vecta.
Okay. Edit track 2. Where do you stand?
Vecta.
So what we want is that to end right there. So I need to trim this down to about there, a little more. A little too far that time. So, okay, so that's that part. There we go.
Cadet ever to be admitted to the Shadow Marshal Academy. You should be proud. I know if your father was here, he'd feel the same way.
Okay. Split. Move clip.
Vecta.
So now, again, with the crossfade to fade it in.
Vecta. Home of those.
Let's trim that out a little bit. Get that out to black.
Vecta. Home of those.
Okay, so I'm getting a little bit of that clip. So trim. Which one of these has the volume? I've almost forgot. Okay, this is the 100%, so this needs to go down.
Vecta.
A little more.
Refuge on another world. Vecta.
Well done, Lucas.
Almost there.
Another world. Vecta.
Well done, Lucas.
Okay, I need that to have just a little more. So trim. How much can I get away with?
Vecta.
Well done, Lucas.
Vecta.
Let's go back to full.
Vecta.
Well done, Lucas.
So trim you down a little more.
World. Vecta.
Well done, Lucas. You're the youngest cadet ever to be admitted to the Shadow Marshal Academy. You should be proud. I know if your father was here, he'd feel the same way.
See, this one you guys are gonna love, because I still love this one. Add Trek 2. So what do we got here? We need to add this one is father? Yes. Okay. So trim, this should go almost to the end here. Yeah, sad, sad, dad dies. Star home too. I need to trim the other side actually a little more. Okay.
Please. Ever to be admitted to the Shadow Marshal Academy. You should be proud. Please.
So we're going to reduce him so I can hear. Move clip. Actually, one moment.